Hello, today I'm here to talk about all of the books I read in the month of October. I did participate in Spookopathon and the vlogs will be linked down below potentially, I think. I didn't do as well as I thought I would, but I think I did start to burn out a little bit from the readathons, so yeah. But I did end up finishing 6 books, I think. Yeah, 6 books and I DNF'd one of them. So let's get started. Obviously, if you want to hear more detailed thoughts, they will be in the vlogs, because now I feel like sitting down talking about the books I read over a month ago in some cases, I don't remember half the details, so that's why I'm enjoying doing the vlog style. So the first book I finished in the month of October was The Lost Library by Freya Sampson, and this one I would describe as just sort of, I don't know, like general fiction, contemporary fiction, with a hint of romance, I suppose. So this one follows our main character called June. She's in her, I think, late 20s, and she works as a library assistant, and her mum used to be either a librarian or a library assistant, but it was basically her mum's life. But now the library is being threatened to close because it's owned by the government and they're trying to close a few libraries. And now June obviously doesn't want it to happen and she wants to do everything to save it. But this book is set in a small village type of thing. I think it's a small village, not a town. And a small community as well of people who go to this library and interact. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I just thought it was really cute and like adorable. It's a light read, light-hearted, warm read with only a tiny bit of romance. I thought it was going to be more into romantic bit, but it wasn't. There was just a little bit of romance, but mostly friendships with different people in the community. I had a really good time with it. June at first was really almost like shy and anxious, but then she realizes that she needs to step up and put that a little bit aside. Like she's not stopped being anxious, but she realized that she needs to be a little bit more brave in some cases and fight for what she wants. And it's just a really cute sort of story, so I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the bookish references as well. This book is like a love letter to literature as well, in a way. The different bookish references and the talk about books, the different characters who are part of this community, how they read books, how they choose books, and what they mean to them, what the library means to them, what they mean to each other. It was just super sweet and super adorable, super lighthearted. Like I said, there is like a tiny bittersweet moment in there as well, but overall it was just a really good book. With the next book I actually finished a series, and that was Lost and Gone Forever by Alex Gratian, which is the 5th book in the Murder Squad series. It's a historical crime fiction. It started off as almost police procedural, the first 2 books, a bit of police procedural, but 3rd, 4th and 5th were gone sort of different direction, focused on different things. So the series did go a little bit downhill for me, but I did give this one 4 stars though. Sorry, no, I actually gave it 3 stars in the end, apparently. I don't remember much about it now. But without repeating myself, and obviously I can't give you the plot of this book because that would spoil it massively, but in the first one, I feel like I've mentioned it so many times, in the first one there's the murder squad that is newly formed for the Met, or, well, yeah, like London Police, Metropolitan Police. Yeah, it would be the Met back in the day, and obviously their main focus was murders, which were at the time apparently loads and loads of them, and Jack the Ripper was one of them. He does play a massive part in some of the books. I wasn't a fan of his voice, his perspective. What he was in the books wasn't as how I pictured him after reading especially a massive non-fiction book on Jack the Ripper. All of details and everything. I loved that book, but it just didn't go with what I read from that book and how he's portrayed in these books. So that kind of ruined it for me as well. But I feel like the series did go downhill for me. I can't really say much about the 5th book without spoiling it. but I feel like I've mentioned it so many times. It's a good series in general, but the first and second books are the best ones, and then it sort of goes downhill from there a little bit, unfortunately. But I did enjoy it as a conclusion after all. It was interesting to follow. It follows still different characters because it does jump from different characters, different perspectives and everything, so you do follow through different things. There was one bit in this book, so there was one plot line that started I think in book 1, and I thought that storyline was going to go somewhere, because why would you include it in book 1 and then can carry on doing it through 5 books to then not proceed with it and just cut it off? And I thought that actually really annoyed me. But hey ho, I guess you could call it unpredictable for that thing, which wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't a fan of that little bit. But I did enjoy it in the end. Like I said, it's a 3-star book, but I'm glad that I've finished the series with this one. Don't have any more thoughts on it. Pretty sure it says something more in my wrap up, sorry, in one of my vlogs. So again, if you want to hear my thoughts, go there. My next book was a 5-star read. It's like a light 5-star. It's not the most amazing book I've ever seen, I've ever read, but it is The Lantern of Lost Memories by Sanaka Hiragi, and it is a new release of this year. So this book, we follow like a photo studio, if you wish, which you go there and basically at the end of your life, so it's almost like a sort of place between life and death, if you wish. So the person goes there, chooses, so there are a bunch of photographs that represent the life of this person, and this person who needs to cross to the afterlife or whatever it is, they need to choose a photo for each year, like their favorite photo, or however, whatever reason they have for choosing that for that year of each of their life. So if you've lived like for 36 years, you'd have to pick 36 photos, and then all of those photos will be put into the lantern, and then it will like light up and show all of your life. I think it's something to do with Japanese culture, which I don't know a lot about, but I think they've got a thing of, I guess, Lantern of Lost Memories, something like that. It was really adorable. Again, I don't remember too much about it now because my memory's bad. Not to say it's the fault of the book at all, but it's just my memory's bad, and when I switch from book to book, details do sort of get a little bit mixed up in my head. But anyway, it's again sort of like 4, I think, short stories, or 3 short stories. They're all kind of related in one way or another. So I really enjoyed it. The first story even, I think, almost made me cry. It was really adorable and strong and cute and warm. Just beautiful. I would describe this book as beautiful. And it's so full of love for humans, for humanity, for life, and everything, every little detail matters and makes you who you are. The stories do sort of tie up in one way or another with each other, so I really loved it. It was really, really good. I love the character who is the person like who is like a guide, so he's telling the people what to do, and he loves the people. He loves every single person. He puts so much care and thought into every one of them. He talks to them, he explains it to them, he takes them back. Oh yes, I forgot to mention one important part. So you can go back for one day to retake the photo, like if it's blurred or if you don't remember that memory and you want to obviously refresh it and whatnot. So you can go for one day there with this guide, and it's just so beautiful. Honestly, I thought it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and it's definitely going to be one of my favourite books of this year. Don't think it will join the list of my favourite books of all time, but who knows, maybe in the future if I reread it at some point. I don't think so, but still, it's really good. So yeah, it's full of humanity, full of love for humanity, and it's just, it was adorable. I really enjoyed it. Easy 5 stars. My next one was an ebook. I will try and put up with the picture because I read it on my Kindle, but that is Wonky Spells and Seashells, I believe, by Claire Roberts, which is the 2nd book in the Fade Island series. I did talk about this series again before as well, but it's basically, the main character is a witch, but she's not really like a good witch in a way that she doesn't know how to use magic. She's just learned it and whatnot. So she then, in the first one, gets a letter, I think, that she's inherited newspaper from her uncle or whoever. No, not even an uncle, just this guy who just inherited. Who's given her the newspaper because the guy's dead. Anyway, so she goes to this Fade Island to see what's going on, to see the paper, and obviously like deal with everything. And in there, she is suddenly involved in like a murder, I think, happens in the first book. I think so. And obviously there's a mystery of how this person who gave her the newspaper died as well. There's a mystery of that. The books are both of them are really funny. I love the main character. There's also Cat Familiar, who is really sassy and funny. I love the chemistry between them. It's also romance as well, between the police officer and our main character, I enjoy that kind of romance. It's really, I'd say it's like slow burn in a way, a little bit. It's not spicy. I wouldn't describe it as spicy at all. It's slow burn, in a way. I'm enjoying these books, and like I said, it's full of humor. The second book felt more following an investigation. In the first one, it was more of a mixture of different things. The second one was definitely more of an investigation, ongoing investigation with something, but they're just so good, such good fun. I give this one 4 stars as well, and I do want to continue reading them. They're only like 200 pages each, but they're so easy to read, easy to follow. There's just something about it, because they're set on this made-up island. It creates a different sort of atmosphere. I keep thinking about these books every now and then, so when I'm not reading them, I do keep thinking about them, because they're cozy, they're funny, easy to read, really light-hearted. And then, like I said, there's magic, a little bit of magic, there's murders, there's police procedurals, there's romance, there's everything in these books. I'm having a really good time with them. And yeah, look forward to reading book 3 at some point soon. The next book I read is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is my second Grady Hendrix book. First one I read was Horrorstor, but I wasn't a big fan of it. There's a cat tail behind me. He doesn't want to be on the camera. But anyway, so this book I gave 4 stars, and it was a pleasant surprise, because I wasn't a big fan of Horrorstor. But this was so much more atmospheric. This was horror as well, and this was my kind of horror. I do enjoy this sort of cozy, gothic almost horror. It wasn't a lot to do with the vampires that you'd think. Again, I think there was a lot of thoughts in my vlog, the most recent one, about this book. But I had really good time with it. The first half felt like a 5-star. But then once we knew the mystery of who's behind it, what's happening and stuff like that, second half sort of made me a little bit less interested, but still gave it 4 stars because it was really good. And some scenes were really creepy and bizarre. And I'm not into like odd books. I never like strange, odd books, but this is the kind of strange and odd that I do enjoy, because it adds to the atmosphere, it adds to the different sort of, I don't know, it just adds to the whole thing. And the funny thing I found as well is that I enjoyed even mundane parts of the book. So it follows our main character, didn't even tell you the plot. Anyway, it follows our main character, who I think maybe in her 40s or 50s? I can't remember. She's married, she's got 2 kids, and she's part of this sort of book club. They don't even call it a book club, but it's set in a small village. It follows her life story, the book club, and this person who now, his name is, I forgot of course, James somebody I think. Anyway, so he appears and she's starting to have a little bit of a thing for him, I think. But then children start to disappear in a different part of town. Is he related to that? Is he not related to that? I'm not going to say anything. But there are quite a few creepy and weird scenes as well, which I quite enjoyed. And it was just interesting to follow the story. And yeah, like I was trying to say, interrupted myself, that I was really enjoying even the mundane parts of the story, just her life, how she interacted with her children, how she interacted with her husband, the book club, and different friendships that she was creating. I was fascinated by it all, which kind of surprises me because it's a horror book and I thought I'd be more interested in just the horror parts, but no, I was interested throughout and I really had a good time with it. and now I definitely do want to read more of his books. I'm interested in his My Best Friend's Exorcism, I think is what it's called, and maybe some other books as well in the future. So if I see them, I'll definitely buy them because he won me over again, and I've got hopes that I'll enjoy his books. So yeah, I can't think of anything else. I feel like I've forgotten half the things I wanted to say. But just to wrap it up, atmospheric, creepy, interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. The next book was another ebook, but that was a DNF, and that was Bonehead by Joe Mayer? No, by Mo Hader. And I read, I think, 86 pages or 76 pages, something like that, out of 368, and decided to DNF it. So this book, the plot, we've got this main character whose name again I forgot already, but she's a police officer, and so back in the past when she was a teenager there was a bus crash and a few people survived but loads of them died, and there's an urban legend about this bonehead woman who is, I can't remember, but it's basically, I think it's like supposed to be a ghost who is like haunting people, something like that, I can't remember. But anyway, so the story starts with our police officer who moves back with her mum, I think, or temporary there, I can't remember. And basically she finds this photograph that was sent to the mum without saying who it's from, what it's for, but she sees that it's the photo of their house, like their window, and in the window there's the bonehead's face, essentially, is how she interprets it. So she asks her mum where did it come from. The mum says she doesn't know where it came from, but she's not really that bothered about it, to be fair. But the police officer wants to know what it is because I think she's got some sort of like personal history almost with Bonehead or something to do with that, because I think the first time she saw Bonehead's face was on the bus. So it sounds interesting, right? But it wasn't for me. So also it's got two different perspectives, the police officers and also the mum of the guy another guy who survived the crash. But so the police officers chapters are absolutely fine. They're almost police procedurals because it's talking about her job and different things that she does, but they're quite short, they're short enough. The chapters of the mum are much longer. They go way back in the past when she was, I think, maybe a teen or young 20s, early 20s, but they're so long, and they were focusing on the relationship between her and her future husband, and the language that was used to describe a lot of sex scenes and just their life was so vulgar. I hated it. Like, I know it was a choice specifically to show the quality of their horrible relationship, if you wish. It wasn't really that horrible, it was just, I found it disgusting, vulgar, unnecessary, and I thought there were other ways to describe their lives and the quality of their relationship rather than just use those words. I just hated that so much. But then that also started to be transferred into different chapters as well, not just when it was talked about that, so I just couldn't handle it anymore. But it wasn't the main reason, it was just kind of boring. So I don't mind when in thrillers, crime fiction, we go back to the past of the characters, but when it's taking the main story and goes for so long that I feel like it doesn't even have any sort of relevance to the current situation, to the current mystery, to the current horror almost of the supposed mystery that that's what we were promised, I'm not enjoying that. I wanted more from the book, and out of 80 however many pages I read, that wasn't going anywhere. The storyline with the present, her sort of investigation bit, that was a weird noise from my cat. The investigation bit was slow, nothing was happening, so I felt the pacing was really off. And yes, maybe in the future the fact that we were told so much about her life in the past would have tied up with the current events, but I just couldn't be bothered. Honestly, I didn't want to read it. I could not be bothered. I stopped reading it. So I think that's the main reasons why I didn't want to continue. But yeah, there he is. Oof! What's going on? Why are you smacking me in the face? Why are you purring and smacking me in the face? How does that make sense? Rudy. What are you doing? So silly. Anyway, and the last book that I read in the month of October was The House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I finally read a T. Kingfisher. I wanted to do it all of October, and so I did. This is another horror book from her. We follow our main character, Sam, who moves back in the house of her childhood with her mum, but then suddenly the house is like almost back to how it was before. So the colourful wallpaper is back to like how it was before, and now it's really important to say grace before dinner, and it just feels odd. And the longer Sam stays there, the odder it starts to feel. And there are vultures surrounding the house, and quite often just sat there and watched the house. This was, I feel like, the least creepy book I've read by her so far. I don't know if it was just me. I still gave it 4 stars though. I still really enjoyed it. It was creepy. Like for the first half though, I feel like it wasn't creepy at all. I think it was the first, well, maybe not the first half. The first 100 pages, I feel like, maybe the first half wasn't that creepy. But once the creepy elements started to come in, that became really creepy, and I really enjoyed it. And again, it's like gothic horror, I think, because it's mostly set in the house with just different things happening. And in this book though, I did feel like the humor was almost forced. So in the first, like the Hollow Places, the twisted ones, I enjoyed the humor. I enjoyed what the hell? What was that noise? Anyway, I enjoyed the chemistry between some of the characters and the humour, but in this one it just almost felt forced. I didn't laugh because it just felt like it was trying so hard to be funny, which I wasn't a fan of. And like I said, the creepy elements were a lot less creepy. But in the end I did still really enjoy it. It was just my least favourite, even though I rated the twisted ones lower than this, weirdly. I think I prefer the twisted ones to this. I do want to reread the twisted ones, because I do feel like I'm going to give it a higher rating than to this one. Well, no, it can't be. Anyway, higher rating than 3.5, maybe. I don't really have much thoughts about this book. Again, it will be in the vlog, the thoughts. But it was good. I enjoyed it. It was creepy. It was weird again, the usual T. Kingfisher way. But again, that kind of weird I like. I enjoy that kind of weird. I love the atmosphere again. And yeah, in the end I did have a good time with it. So I'm glad I read another T. Kingfisher, but for some reason I just don't have any more thoughts on the book at all. So yeah, these are all of the books I read in the month of October. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!